I have to start this off with saying that the American male, that there's many of them that have got to be some of the biggest idiots on the planet. It's like they see a female and they worship her right off the ground. I'm talking about the disinformation, in my opinion, the disinformation and propaganda directly directed against the United States by Abby Martin on her little bullshit show she puts out there. Now, I'm going to point to something that raised 20 red flags to me right from the beginning. Before she got on RT, or right about the time she got on RT, right at that day she was going to get hired at RT, she was doing this interview with Rand Paul and asked him about the Bilderberger conference or something, and just asking him all these questions. And she was running after him with the mic, and it was like, he supposedly, this is what the thing is, he supposedly wanted to have her fired from RT. Well, you know what went up in my mind that whole thing is? It was total scam all the way. In other words, I don't trust Ron Paul, I don't trust Rand Paul, I don't trust most of the alternative out there. Most of the established alternative politicians, you know, it's all lip service. They don't freaking do anything actually constructive. You know, all the people that got behind Ron Paul, which supposedly is even a lot better than Rand Paul, you know, he was all going to be just pushing whatever the established Republicans wanted anyway, and he got all behind Romney. I think that whole thing was staged from day one. So you people that are way into the alternative media, you're getting set up. You're getting set up. And I'm going to also offer another point here, that they want you to run to the other side. The Western elite want you to reject the system. Change. Don't you get it? Change means throw out what the basis of the United States is about. Change. Get it? That's what it's about. Change means, you see, people don't have the balls to put it back to square one, so they're demanding change. You're always complaining about, oh, this is wrong and that's wrong. Well, you know where the dirt's being thrown from on RT, Russia Today, and Abby Martin works for them. Those guys are literally 10,000 times worse than the United States. They say they always throw dirt at the West, and yeah, it's true with the Occupy Wall Street, the 1%. But like I put out a video before, 1/100,000ths of 1%, less than 1 basis point of 1 basis point, has 35% of the wealth in Russia. It's ridiculously way more lopsided than in the United States. Now, countries that are better than the United States as far as equality goes would be like Switzerland, Japan, and Sweden. You know, something like that. They would be more equal there than the United States. But not Russia. Russia makes the United States look like equality all over the place. They're the ones throwing the dart. And that's where Abby Martin is, exposing the truth. So in other words, when we get change in the United States, what's going to happen is, and this is what I've been saying all along, Major Anatoly Golitsyn's been saying this, and you know, you don't see him on any YouTube, you don't see him anywhere, because the guy had to be in hiding, and I think he's like in his 90s now, but he's been right for about so many damn things all along. The ultimate goal is to, when the West collapses, there's total financial collapse in the West, they're going to introduce a new type of hybrid communism that's combined with some capitalism with a human face. So the jerks will freaking accept it. Abby Martin is working for that system. That's what she's doing. And you know, the dorks just can't see it, because, you know, if she was birthed a big butt freaking Russian wrestler, they'd probably see it a lot better, but they don't see it that way. Because they're stupid dorks. That's what it comes down to. The American male. Duh. That's what you got. That's what you got. They don't think. They don't think. Look who's paying her, first off. The elite in Russia are 100,000 times worse than the elite in the United States. And Putin is either the top guy or one of the very top out of that 100,000ths of a basis, a percent of owns 35% of their wealth in Russia, the 110 billionaires out of 143 million population. That's the voice you're listening to criticizing the West. It's like, yeah, there's problems in the West, but why take criticism from those jerks? And you're listening to you're listening to all one-sided propaganda. You're never going to see her dig out dirt on Russia. Because you know what happened when they dig out dirt on Russia, true dirt? You know who did? Who did dig out true dirt on what was going on with Putin? Boris Berezovsky. And look what happened with him. And they say, oh, he committed suicide, right? Boris Berezovsky, oh, he was a crook. Oh, he was this, all that, right? He didn't commit suicide. His net worth was still over $500 million. He wasn't as powerful as Putin. I mean, Putin probably has $40 to $50 billion. But $500 million is nothing like small amount of money. He was still not bankrupt in any respect. That's been proven now. That's somebody that actually criticizes the worst elite in the world. And I guess the other worst elite would be in Iran. With that religious regime. It's like, do as I say, don't do as I do. The Saudi family, do as I say, don't do as I do. And the families that run China. But oh no, we're going to be truthers and only throw dirt at the West. That's not fair and unbiased reporting. They're cherry picking what they need only dirt on the West. Because the ultimate goal is to replace the system. Like We Are Change. It's another freaking organization out there. What kind of change do you think they're going to implement? Just like Galitzin says, and maybe these people are just stupid and dumb and young and they don't understand. Even if maybe they don't even understand how they're being used. But that is the game that's going on. That is the game. They want Americans to reject the system, and it's not the system that's the problem. It's the fact that the system isn't being implemented correctly. That's the problem. You see, you don't want change. You want to go back to square one. That's the difference. And it takes some balls to do that. It's not just like, oh yeah, she's bringing out the truth for us. Nobody's bringing out the truth. You freaking do it on your own, damn it. That's the whole damn deal. And if you're not bright enough to see through the freaking falsely led opposition, because like for instance, I don't know how many people I told this to about Ron Paul, and they rejected the message. Oh, left and right. Back when he was running for office, the guy, even when he was cheated out of primaries, he was lame as all hell. He was lame as all hell. In other words, he wasn't even a fighter when he had it totally in the right for himself. He did not fight. He did not fight. But he's going to abolish the Federal Reserve. He's going to dismantle the military-industrial complex. People are that foolish. They believe this bullshit. They like the rhetoric. The thing is, if you really want to change, you don't vote for Republican or Democrat, and you go into a third party. That's one way, right there. That would break the system right there. But the other thing is, when you're talking alternative media coming out of RT or Breaking the Set or CNN or Fox, it's like you still got the blue team and the red team. That's all that is. They're all big, elitist-owned, corporate-owned media. One corporation, one set of elitists in a different form is fighting another set of elitists. And everybody who doesn't like the elitists in America is running over to the other side like a bunch of fools. That's what I see, and that's what I know is going on. I know is going on. But you can't see it because some of these dorks, they see a pretty face up there, they're like, oh, she's right. Oh, that's what I'm seeing too. That's what I'm seeing. They can't see it because, if they had a Russian up there speaking instead of her or somebody else that was like speaking like an English or British accent, it probably would register a little bit more. Who are these people that criticize us? But now they got to get the native-born people to talk. The thing is, the dirt is coming from people that are far more corrupt than the people in the West. And to think of that as somehow working towards a better goal is not the case, because the type of change they're going to produce is going to be much worse. And that's the ultimate game. As a matter of fact, I am pretty damn certain the Western elite are allowing this for a specific reason. So you're going to bite, and it's working like a charm. It's working like a charm. They have never, all the major alternative media has already been corrupted a long time ago. And Russia today is even alternative. It's even beyond that. It's corporate media coming from an oligarchs in Russia. That's all that is. And these other freaking things like breaking the set, it's the same damn thing. It's only like they're going to only throw dirt on the West. They're not going to say anything about the less than 1 basis point of 1 basis point that controls 35% of the wealth in Russia, and how bad the average Russian has it, or anything that's going on with police brutality, the prison systems, or how the FSB has more centralized control than its predecessor, its KGB before it. They're not going to say one thing about that. Not one thing. So I don't know what the hell people are getting all like, oh yeah, I got to get behind this one. Oh, I got to get behind that one. You're jerks. All you got to do is think outside the box on your own. You don't need to get behind anybody. First off, even when you vote, you don't need to vote for Republican or Democrat. I already figured out what Ron Paul was about, and Rand Paul is about the same damn thing. But that whole thing about when Rand Paul supposedly wanted Abby Martin fired over the incident of her asking him about the Bilderbergers, that reeks to high heaven, man. That is so much bullshit. I don't trust that whole scenario for nothing. It's almost like the whole propaganda was like, oh, the corporate media and this. They're all bullshit. Just reject all of them. Reject all of them. That's the only way you're going to do it. You got to actually stand on your own 2 feet. Don't get behind somebody. Stand up for yourself. And what that means is, the whole idea behind the Constitution and the Bill of Rights was limiting government. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? The people got to be strong enough first to limit the government. It's like you don't want to be getting behind, the gulag run other side, so they're throwing more dirt for you on this side because you're mad at this side. That ain't going to do you no good. Because when things change, they're going to change for the worst. They're going to be a lot worse. And I swear to God, the average American male is just a dork, man, for falling for that kind of shit. And they will. They're stupid. That's really what it goes on. The average American male is a dork. They don't understand. When they see a female, they don't think past their freaking nose. They don't think past their nose. They don't understand. Where's the money coming from? Why is this person saying this shit? It's a script. The whole thing is a script. All the way. All the way. But there's no reaching the average American male because, like I said, they're little worms. They're little worms. They don't stand on their own 2 feet. They don't stand on their own 2 feet. And see, that's the whole thing that's going to change the government. Is when people stand on their own 2 feet and they say they don't just demand change. You can implement change immediately. Immediately. They're too afraid. It's almost like they got to go Republican or Democrat and that's it. They're too afraid of that. Oh, they got to either go with CNN, Fox, or RT. That's all they got to pick. No, you don't need to go with any of that kind of shit. You don't need to go with any of it. Because basically, all of those are working for different types of elite. The elite got the bases covered. And the Russian elite are far worse than the American elite. They got far more power, more centralized power. The American elite would love the deal they got. Because basically, you're talking about the pinnacle of power. It's ridiculously lopsided in Russia. Russia today has got no right to be throwing any kind of dirt on the United States. None whatsoever. I mean, if it was coming from Japan or Switzerland or Sweden or something, it would make more sense. But not coming from Russia. Because that is the most lopsided country for inequality going, period. I mean, the only ones that probably fit in that category maybe would be a little more like China or Iran or Saudi or something like that. That would be the only thing. Otherwise, forget it. They ain't even, the United States is heads and shoulders above Russia in equality, even though it's getting worse. But Russia's not getting better. They're getting worse too. Putin's game is a gas scam. He's loaded, and he's acting like he's a reformer. And he's paying shills like Abby Martin to talk to you dorks, and you're freaking buying into it. Like idiots. Like freaking idiots. But that's just how I see the American male. They are that stupid. They are that stupid. And they're beyond unreachable. It's like you got to tell them, you got to put a, maybe, if the Fox had any brains, but I think this is what they want you to do. If somebody like, say, CNN or whatever the American stations are had any brains, they just hire a porn star and put the freaking propaganda out, and you jerks would freaking buy it. That's all they have to do. But I think they want you to run to the other side, because that side is going to have even more centralized control by 10,000 times more than the United States. And that's the ultimate globalist game. They want you to reject the American system. They want change. They want you to go and fight for something else. And that's where they're going to screw you over. But now, American males ain't thinking, and they never will.